Alright, so I did not get the same error message with my volume, and I've actually got some volume markers picking up on my page, so hopefully we're good. Let's see. I'm going to get the sound check done, and then we'll launch back in. Do apologize for the holdup, but we'll make sure we get to everybody's questions without any, you know, I won't leave the call until everybody's questions are answered today. How's that sound? All right, so I did not get the error message with my volume. I've actually got some volume. Okay, so now we're good for volume. I'm going to kill my volume on my computer so that we don't have a weird feedback loop. I'll do my screen share over here. There we go. That's what I get for using Chrome. Does not treat me well for doing Hangouts, strangely enough. So anyway, all right. Clear my head. Shake all the bad mojo out of it. Okay, we should be good now. All right, I got a couple emails through from people who sent questions because they would be unable to join the call today. There's one more person I got. I'm just typing an email real quick to get one more person on here. All right, hopefully that gets him in. Should be good. All right, let me get back over here to the question box. Okay, Brian, Jimmy, Nancy, Rob, Kurt. I saw Brian down here too. All right, we should be rolling now. So for those of you who are new, usually we get up and rolling a lot more quicker, something like that. That's my great grammar for you today. But we did have kind of some technical issues with one of my browsers. So the way I run my office hours and coaching and training is pretty much anything is fair game, whether it is kind of some more of the technical elements that are SEO related, or money getting, or strategy, or business, or sales, or whatever it might be. Since I kind of went through the process and did most everything we've talked about as far as the training goes, it works well for me to be able to discuss all of that stuff. So whatever your questions may be, just get those in the chat box. I get to them as they are asked. So sometimes there is some lag time, not only from Google Hangouts, which is typically about 45 seconds from live, but I do tend to be a little more wordy with my answers, just because I find that a lot of the questions are either exactly like or very similar to questions other people have and may not even know about yet. So especially for the recordings, I tend to answer them in a couple different fashions, just to make sure that we get as much value into these coaching sessions and office hours as we can. So it looks like we do have a question or something here from Brian. Brian, I have an affiliate partner I'm ranking a YouTube video for. It's an existing video with 100,000 views. I changed the title, optimized the description, and shot one full-blown Fiverr gig at it. It's been about a month, and it still isn't showing up in the SERPs at all. You know what? I've had trouble with videos if I change the title, Brian. I actually did this on a few of mine, I think about a month or 6 weeks ago, and experienced the exact thing that you are. I didn't do Fiverr. I actually used my own GSA campaigns, ran them exactly like I do typically to rank a video, and nothing. So I don't know whether there's some kind of a sandbox in effect for after you've changed your title on a YouTube video, whether it takes a while for that to go back into the database to be calculated that way. or whether or not you kind of maybe shot yourself in the foot. I'm thinking I may have done that, but I'm not ready to throw the towel in yet, so I don't have a definitive answer on what to do to address it, but I have experienced something very similar to that, almost exactly like what you're talking about. I don't have 100,000 views or anything, but there are videos that have more than 1,000 natural views that were not paid for, but after changing the title, I do not rank for anything that I was ranking for previous, and also do not rank for the new keywords that I was trying to go after. So that being said, moving forward, I may decide to make sure I have the title right before I get the views. It's possible that Google allocates the views and those on-page metrics according to the title at the time they were watched, and does not go back and change those after the fact. So that's the only thing I can kind of think of now off the top of my head. Still got a problem with one of our people getting in. Let me all right. Had some people with a 404 error coming up when they were trying to log in, so I'm not sure what that's about. Okay. All right, so that was Brian's question. Then Brian, should I just wait a little longer or do some PBN linking more gigs? Yeah, one of the things that I'm going through doing right now, Brian, are some higher quality links, some Web 2.0s, and I actually have a couple embeds in my PBN articles. So on that note, that's my strategy at the moment. I only started that last week to see whether or not that would kind of give it a pick-me-up kind of deal. And so far, I mean, it's indexed for the keywords, which I'm hopeful that means it's going to go ahead and kind of pull out of it. But at the moment, it's still like on page 10 or 12, which it should not be. The competition's not that severe for it. Okay, Paul, a little tip for some of you. If you click the settings button in the YouTube window, looks like a spiked wheel, and then click on the 720p HD, makes the picture look crystal clear, and you can make it full screen with perfect clarity. Great tip, Paul. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, there's a lot of quality opportunities for viewing within these Google Hangouts sessions. My bandwidth should be pretty spectacular, and I'm recording this in HD. So yeah, just as Paul said, you should be able to make it as large as you'd like if you do want to read the comments or questions. Sometimes I do some kind of over-the-shoulder demonstrations, and I know at times it's nice to see exactly the options or things I'm looking at on a page when that does come up. So all right, Brian, so it's just best to upload a new video. I was hoping to bank on the existing views, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Brian, like I said, I know there's a little lag time in there, but I would hang on to that video. 100,000 views is nothing to throw away, for sure. That much on-page metrics is going to pull you a long way. I would try to get some type of higher quality link going to it, though, than just a Fiverr gig. That may be able to reset it of sorts, once it gets a nice high-quality crawl from either one of your PBN sites or from a Web 2 property, or even some action from social. If you can point to it from a few different Twitter accounts or a Pinterest screenshot embed or Facebook or something of that nature, sometimes those will help reset the on-page metrics for things like that. Like I said, I'm going through the process right now of figuring out what to do in those situations. Looks like I've got it re-indexed with the new keywords by embedding it in a PBN article. So when you embed something, you've got an iframe, and that is a type of link going back to your YouTube video. So a lot of times if I've got YouTube videos for, you know, things related to a normal article I'm going to post, I can actually embed that video as part of the article and get some link juice going back to that YouTube video itself, as well as the regular contextual link that goes out to our content to rank it. So that's right now my best suggestion on that. All right, David, is there a cheaper alternative to Moz? Greg teaches with this tool to research buying his PBNs. Yes, David. So I use Moz. I like Moz, and for what I've seen, and I've used most of the large link aggregators, Moz, Hrefs, Majestic SEO. Those all do kind of the same things, but Moz tends to have the clearest information, and for what I'm looking at, the most accurate. It does not have the most comprehensive list of links. Ahrefs and Majestic SEO both tend to have more links that show up, but for the most part, Moz, Open Site Explorer show the highest quality links, and that's really what I'm after. So I do understand. Let me close that real quick. I do understand what you're talking about. Price. I think it's about $100 a month, and there are ways to get it more cheaply. There are 90 or 120-day free trials that are available through a few different sources. You can just do a search for free trial offer for Moz and get some of those codes potentially. I think there's a 90-day free one that you don't have to have anything for. And then the one I used when I got started was Namecheap. If you have an account with Namecheap as a registrar, there is a kind of bonus offer available for customers of Namecheap that will let you get 120 days free through Moz. And that's what I use really because I didn't have enough money really cash flow wise to use some of those tools that I needed. And I found a way to get that free trial set up and use that for the first 3 or 4 months that I was doing SEO until I was in a better cash flow situation and I could just pay for that on a monthly basis. And I know a lot of people have done that exact same thing. So if you're just starting out, that's what I suggest. Use Moz, but get a free trial for it for the first 3 or 4 months. So, alrighty. Okay, that was David's question. All right, let me grab one of. Let me see if I can find it. I've got an email here from one of our new folks that had some really good questions. I stuck it behind this browser here, so I'm grabbing it, pulling it to the front. Okay, so a few questions. These are from Matt. Was wanting a little more clarification on how to set up sites for a particular construction niche. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste these questions in the chat box just so you guys can read them. And then they're going to look like they came from me, but they're from too long. Yeah, so I'll just read the questions then. It sounds like they're going to limit the number of words I can put into a chat. Oh, I'll get to this question from Rob here before I go. Yeah, David just says someone just posted 120-day trial from Namecheap in the main OMG NHP Facebook thread. Yeah, we're all kind of on the same page. Those things are just nice little pieces of inside information. I mean, that's going to save you $400 regardless. And it's, like I said, really nice to get up and going without a lot of overhead. Keeps the stress level low. Rob Mullins, which training module do I start with? Just joined last week. Watched the Project J orientation videos. Yep, there's a whole page for those. And then OMG objective is drive tons of Google traffic to my Amazon product label, or private label product. Thanks. Okay, great question, Rob. What I would suggest doing is, depends a little bit on your understanding of how we do SEO. I would recommend that you do 2 things. One of them specifically for the Amazon stuff, and another one is going to be to get you a little more up to speed on some of the other SEO concepts that we cover. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to do this. So I'm just going to open up another tab here. I can show you around the membership area. So this is the Project J membership area. If you're in Project X, you have access to this office hours right now because it's kind of a bonus session, but your membership area looks the same in case you did not know that. So the introduction, SEO intro and updates is going to be something that we really talk about what and how we use anchor text and title combinations to rank sites. That includes URL as well. So that's kind of what that section is about. The sink or swim, this is a continuation along the anchor text and URL. Those two things are going to give you a little background information on what we do with on-page setup for Amazon products, as well as some of the link tools that we use to build more links to our Amazon pages, which is going to up the page authority and get those sites to rank. So I would go through those videos here real quick. Don't really worry about learning the ins and outs, the specifics on it, as much as just get kind of the general concepts. And then you can come right down here to, where's Brad? Yeah, right here. So Amazon, whoops, that was a huge highlight. If you jump in here, this Amazon Trading with Brad, this information is going to talk a lot about how to get what it sounds like you already have set up, which is your product pages. But right here is a page on ranking it. We do have more information, especially from Jimmy Kelly, on how to do this really well, and those are going to be found. There was one that was last week, I believe, Mike's acceleration webinars. Where are Mike's office hours? Okay, so yeah, Mike is right here. These acceleration webbies, this is March 19th, so yeah, go to the July, August, most recent, and see what we have here. Yeah, August 13th. So this is probably, yeah, so this is Jimmy and Brad right here talking about Amazon. Go check that out. That should get you on the right track for what to do with ranking those Amazon pages and products. Okay. Oh, and so yeah, if you're new to SEO at all, Rob, I would go through those first two segments just like I talked about, and then jump into that Amazon walkthrough, that acceleration webby with Jimmy and Brad both. That's going to be hardcore nuts and bolts, how to rank it. That includes what you do with your on-page setup, as well as the link building tools that we use to kind of facilitate and put that strategy on steroids. But really, the whole wealth of training that we have, especially technical SEO training, I suggest going through. I know you want to get in and get going and find the stuff that's most applicable, probably your best spent time, especially initially. Jump into those first two sessions, then go check out the Amazon Training with Brad and the acceleration webinar that Mike did with Jimmy and Brad both. But then as you have time and expand, go through the rest of the training, because there's a lot of things that, as you begin to learn other applications of kind of the knowledge and strategies that we use, it kind of brings everything together in a cohesive picture so that it becomes easy then to put new strategies in place, figure out really your business side of things. So that's kind of what I'd recommend. All right, where was that? Oh, I was on the email. So Matt had a couple questions about setting up some local client style sites. And I'm just going to read out of the email here. Taking plumbers as an example, would you buy an age domain and set that up to go after the general, more competitive terms such as Plumber City, create a silo structure with pages for each keyword you wanted to go after, and then use PBN links for this site, and then buy the specific EMDs as well, the longer tail keywords. So you'd almost have an EMD and a page on an age domain targeting the same keyword. Yes, Matt, great strategy. It's what I did when I first started. It's what I still do. and I actually recorded videos about that exact strategy today that are going to come out toward the end of the week in the pay-per lead module that I've been putting together for, shoot, seems like a long time. It's really my business. I kind of show you exactly what I do. That includes kind of keyword strategy and site structure, and that is one of the strategies that I employ for local keyword targeting that lets me kind of dominate with not only you know, a website and Web 2.0 properties, whether those are social accounts or whatever, but actually multiple websites as well. So great strategy. I would recommend using both if you can, if your budget allows. A second question is, if you were buying 15 to 20 EMDs for one niche, would you buy all the domains from this or on the same day and use different registrars? Or am I too paranoid? Don't need to worry about that at all. You can buy them through the same registrar on the same day. Just make sure that you do opt for usually the upsell of privacy, who is protection. That will keep your name out of the who is register for all of those websites and make it a little more difficult for people to figure out who you are. So yeah, you don't need to go through all of the trouble that you mentioned, but you definitely do get privacy protection on those. Oh, looks like, yeah, Cliff was somebody that we were trying to help through. Looks like he jumped in the chat, so glad you made it, Cliff. Yeah, sometimes a little determination is what makes it all work, so I'm glad you're here. Okay, another question here, again from Matt, is would you host all of these EMDs with one host, bearing in mind that we may not need many links to them, or would you spread them out on different hosts? Okay, so I would host them with the same company, but most definitely use separate IPs. It's just not worth the little bit of savings you're going to get not doing that. So each of the sites I'm ranking or using within the private blog network within the PBN are each going to be on a separate IP. That includes all of the EMDs, even ones that I have gotten up without using links to rank, which is possible and not actually that difficult. If they're going to be something I'm trying to make money off of or potentially would use to link to another one of my sites, always put them on a separate IP. Don't need to be on a separate host, but do need to be on a separate IP. So, and that's a C class. C class is like there's 4 segments of an IP address. The C is the third segment. That third segment's what needs to be different on each of your sites within your network. Okay, another question from Matt. Do you use the vSilo plugin for Mile High Plumbing? Answer is yes on that, or did you create the silos manually? So I used vSilo. I purchased the vSilo plugin today, but it's creating the second silo content as posts, not pages. That's correct. That's correct, Matt. So the posts end up looking like, and he's got the actual URL structure there. So the first 2 subfolder levels on a silo are going to be denoted as pages. So you can have domain.com, and then you're going to have silo 1, and then your pages underneath that. If you go further than that, like another slash and then whatever else, it's going to actually create a post for you. And that's set up specifically that they didn't do that on accident. The reason being, I understand the post structure to be really catered to more temporary content, and if you need more specific information than that, it might behoove you to look at either doing a separate silo just for that page, or even creating another site that you could specifically focus on that topic. So a little more from the email here. In a city with a population of 350,000, where the keyword plumber city gets about 210 searches per month, is that an opportunity you'd still go for? Absolutely. Absolutely, Matt. The amount of searches that Google reports in their Google Keyword Planner tool is very inaccurate especially for local searches where you've got a local modifier on those search terms. There's a couple reasons for that. I won't get into what I have surmised it being related to, but they're not, A, they're not accurate, and B, it doesn't really matter that much. In a city that size, you're obviously going to have people who have a situation where they need a plumber and may not have that magnet sitting on their refrigerator that's going to be their go-to person. Most of the time, those magnets, even when they, or any other piece of marketing material, the businesses don't do a good enough job keeping in contact that they're front of mind, and so people still go to Google and they look for a service provider. So yeah, I target cities all the way down to, well, I've got stuff set up in towns with less than 10,000 people, but they are more touristy destinations that have some high-value customers coming into that don't know the town yet. So, but yeah, I would still go after that now. And then, what do you use to keep track of your projects, and how do you determine what needs doing each day, i.e., what links to build for each project? Another incredible question. And this is actually something that I am putting together as really out of need. You know, the longer you do this, you start to kind of see things that, oh, I need a process for this. I need to figure out a way to do this repeatedly and to track it. And one of those is just keeping track of everything and figuring out what your schedule is going to be, making sure you're staying on course and going to, you know, actually hit your targets. But the other one is just keeping track of it all. Right now, I am still using horribly convoluted spreadsheets to track all my data, but have a developer on board, and we are working through the process of putting software together that will turn all that into a database and let you have just one dashboard where you can keep track of all of that. I'm not even promoting or really talking about that at all yet, just because I want it out and I want to test it. But currently use spreadsheets. Most all the people I know in the group use spreadsheets. Get used to it, because the attention to detail and that tracking is going to let you continue to hit your business goals. If you keep track of it all in your head, it's going to get crazy, convoluted real quick. One more question from Matt, and then I'm going to jump back over into the chat box. If you had a PBN network of 20 sites that are PR2 or 3, with no other cash flow to invest in the business and no contacts, what would your strategy be to generate $2,500 a month? And what time frame could you expect to hit this target? I understand there are many variables involved. Just would like to understand the thought process, really. If I had that as my assets and my, I guess, available resources, I would probably go do some, I mean, I really like pay-per-lead as a monetization model. But without personal contacts, you can do that one of two ways. You can get a site set up, get a tracking phone number on it, and start forwarding those leads to a local business that you've targeted. It's a little riskier just because you might, you know, without kind of knowing the market or the business that well, there are more things you need to do to go kind of through the due diligence process and making sure that's going to be a good fit for those leads. That's one idea without even having to talk to people to potentially drum up some business. Another way, and that's something I actually continue to do, I know you're in the UK, but in the US, I'm sure they have it abroad as well, we have something called the Chamber of Commerce, which is essentially a professional group that are business owners, and they do different things for the community. They usually will have some kind of a social mixer on a regular basis. We've got a couple in Phoenix that I go to as often as possible, and I just talk to people. Honestly, I try to get as interested in their business as possible and learn as much about what they do as I can. It lets me kind of be a connector in that group, and inevitably it leads to opportunities. People will ask what you do, you know, who you like to work with, all that kind of thing. So those are probably the two strategies that I would use, because those are the two things that I do still. I also do rank for some, you know, my city SEO style things, I do a lot of lead generation, so I rank for some keywords in lead generation. You can do that too, but if you're talking about just getting going as quickly as possible, go get some face-to-face contacts. And all the while building up your passive lead generation for yourself, whether it's My City SEO or whatever you're going to do, get those in place, get those built up, because you don't want to have to rely on face-to-face all the time. Doesn't mean you can't. It's just nice to have a couple different avenues. All right, so those are the questions from email. Let's jump back over to some of these live questions and see what we have going here. Where are we? Nope, there it is. Okay. All right, guys, we are going to jump down here. Okay, David Duncan, OMG Group is so amazing. Level of support here, so appreciate it. Glad to hear it, David. We really strive to make sure that our people have everything they need to be successful. So it's nice to hear that we are doing a good job of that. Okay, Kurt just joined last week, and I am getting up to speed on PBNs. Okay, are there any outsourcers I could use to buy high-quality domains the way Greg teaches? I'm looking for a way to build out a decent-sized PBN quickly. There's one person I know in the group who has done this in the past. I don't know if he's currently doing it or not. That's Todd Spears. I'm just going to type his name in here in case you do not know him since you are new. He's an OMGer. He was at OMG Live last year. I got a chance to actually know him, kind of face-to-face know him. He also has a lot of products that you've probably heard of. He's the guy who created Spider Spanker. He does have a hosting company as well called Biz Builder Hosting that I have a lot of my PBNs hosted with. He has some hosting for money sites as well. But he has at times, purchased and set up PBNs for people, I believe. That's who I would start with. You can reach out to him within the group, like I said. Probably track him down and send him a PM or something, personal message. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Can't think of anybody else that offers that as a service they provide, Kurt. Good question, but if anybody else comes to mind, I'll definitely let you know. All right. Oh, that's Cliff. Yep, got it in. Whoops. I grabbed the scroll bar. All right. Question from Cliff. When you are doing client consulting, do you build a PBN around their existing site or around another site you create? If so, does the client own the PBN, or is oops. Okay. Does the client own the PBN, or is it yours where you can transfer the money site to a new client when your current relationship with the client ends? Okay, so a lot of this will come down to whatever you decide to do. It's a business thing. What I'll tell you, though, the way I structure my deals, I tend to try to think about what the long-term benefits are going to be, and then try to position myself in a way that makes the best use of the resources I have. So with client consulting, I do not tend to build a PBN specifically for a client. I sometimes will build a PBN or portions of my PBN that are specifically set up to rank for an industry or a niche. Now, they might be used to power 10 to 15, 20 different sites that are kind of exclusive unto themselves, and they're set up in a way because I think, what you're getting at here, Cliff, if the time comes when that client that I'm generating leads for wants to buy what is generating those leads, I have the potential to sell to them. So one of the things I do talk about quite a bit, especially in these office hours, is your exit strategy. And that's not just for your entire business, that can be portions of your projects here. So if you have a project going, you want to go out and rank, say, injury attorneys in the state that you're in, you potentially could set up a whole little, SEO client consulting, project business around injury attorneys, build a PBN for them, get your money sites ranked, get great content on there that converts, and then potentially even sell that to them. That's a pretty lucrative way to make some good chunk of money. I did this with part of my lead generation sites last year. I actually could have sold it for a lot more looking back at it now, but I got a check for $18,000, and at the time I needed the cash to kind of get my cash flow up to going. So you can do it that way, but it really comes down to just personal preference. So I think most of the members will just have their PBN, and it's kind of across a bunch of different hosting providers, and they do keep track of the IP addresses that are pointing to what money sites. So you need to keep track of that, just so you're not doubling up on a lot of the IPs, and creating a potential footprint that way. But when you're working with a local client, I do not know of anyone who, out of the gate, says you're going to own the PBN that I use to rank your site. Actually, a lot of times we don't even discuss PBNs with our clients, just because with someone who's fairly uneducated in SEO, they're going to go put that term into Google, and there are going to be a bunch of articles on there about them being risky, about them being against Google's terms of service, all sorts of things, which are not accurate, and unfortunately what it does is it just limits people's ability to take action. So I actually would suggest not talking about PBNs with your local customers, or they don't have to be local, with whatever clients you may be talking to, discussing SEO with. Just leave that as a term that you don't really bring up. Just you can talk about your network, you can talk about your business, your strategies. I would be very hesitant to discuss openly PBNs with a potential client, just because it doesn't really benefit them to have that information. All right, so Kurt, thanks. Yep, absolutely. One other thing here, Cliff, that you did mention I wanted to cover. What you're talking about, transfer the new money site. So there's a couple different ways, and this is what one of the reasons I think these office hours are kind of helpful is I get to actually, just kind of off the cuff describe kind of the concepts the way I see them. And we've got two things that we really try to cover within OMG. One of them is the technical aspects of ranking. Okay, that's skill. It's an SEO skill that we use to make money. Now, the making money part of it, there's all sorts of different opportunities there. Now, you can set a site up that you own and rent to somebody on a monthly basis. Then if that client goes away, all you need to do is kind of swap out some content, some names, whatever, and point the phone number and email forwarding to a different customer. You can actually set a money site up with a PBN and sell the whole thing like I just talked about. You can set the money site up with your PBN and just sell leads out of there, which means that you only need a client to say, yeah, I'm willing to pay you this much money every time my phone rings. Or you can just set the money site up and promote other offers. There are CPA offers that you don't really need a client for. You just put their offer on the page and you get paid depending on whether somebody's willing to give them some information or raise their hand and say, yeah, I'd like to know more about that, or whatever it might be. So yeah, try to start, in your mind, separate, this is an SEO skill, this is a money-getting strategy. This is an SEO skill, this is a money-getting strategy. And what you're talking about in the second half of that question are money-getting strategies. I, for the most part, make most of my money, local client money, with paper leads. I do a couple monthly situations for people who are in like lower dollar amount niches, but for the most part I do paper lead monetization on those sites. Okey-doke. All right, David, do you know who in the legal page links, any terms of service, privacy, etc., need to be used? While watching these training videos for setting up WordPress, there hasn't been any mention of them yet. I'm not done going through all the training. You know what, David? When I set my sites up, for the most part, that is one of the first things I do. You need to have an earnings disclosure statement. That's something for the SEC. Just to say that if somebody takes action on your page, you may be earning some kind of money, that kind of thing. As far as the rest of it goes, your privacy statement, your terms of service, things like that, I think they give your site a lot more trust signals to Google if they see some pages that are set up that way. But you don't need them. I've got a lot of sites set up that do not have any of that stuff on them. This Final Decompression Phoenix site, for instance, does not have anything, no privacy statements, no terms of service, no earnings disclosure, nothing like that. There are different ways to go about doing that. If you set up like a rental site, you actually don't need that because it's kind of technically their property, kind of. But that's the only situation you don't need an earnings disclosure statement. Aside from that, it's just kind of preference. Whether it helps you with conversion, gives you some more pages. You might need some more content on your site if you're building a real thin, like long tail keyword targeted website. That would give you some opportunity there. But yeah, for the most part, if I'm here's the thing: if I'm thinking about it, which I should be, I do that right at the beginning. There's no reason to wait on that kind of thing. It doesn't. I don't think it behooves you to wait at all. So I tend to like to get pages up and get them indexed and get Google looking at my site as much as I can. All right, Ken, are pay-per-lead clients usually people that you have to meet with face-to-face, or is there a better way to get these types of clients? So both, Ken. For the most part, currently, I do or have had physical contact, face-to-face contact with a lot of my pay-per-lead clients. It's not always the case. I'm kind of at a point now where I get a lot of referrals, and I can just talk to somebody over the phone and say, hey, this is what I can do for you. But there are other ways to go about doing it. I have made some sales of leads with a big green buy button. So I'll put a site up that is selling leads, and people can actually buy the leads on the website. We'll get some more information from them, and typically we'll talk to them in some fashion. But conversion-wise, I don't think it's the best scenario. People tend to kind of like to, I guess, have a little more familiarity, relationship with folks that they're buying from online, especially in this kind of consulting role. So that being said, another one of the things I've been kind of putting together is a solution for that, Ken. So I'm not going to talk about it too much right now, but there are opportunities to do pay-per-lead without talking face-to-face to people. One of them is just doing CPA, is finding somebody else's offer where they've got the clients all lined up, they've got the offer put together, you just promote their offer on your website, and you make money on it. Now, in those situations, there's actually two middlemen. You're going to split your profit with the CPA company, and it's going to cut into your profit quite a bit. And it's also going to structure and limit the way you can promote their offer. So I'm actually kind of trying to put together an alternative for that for people. I don't know exactly time frame on it, but currently face-to-face is where I close and actually start my funnel. A lot of times is face-to-face meetings. I don't really look at what I do as selling people or closing them. I really just kind of describe. I learn what they do, I describe what I do, and if it's the right fit, then they can come along for the ride. I don't spend a lot of time or energy on sales per se. It's just not the way I like to frame up a relationship. Okay, Rob, it seems like most people are currently using Genesis WordPress theme. I'm currently using OptimizePress 2. Should I change over to take advantage of OMG templates and training? I would learn it, Rob. I wouldn't say, throw out what you're doing at all. That's certainly not it's not in anybody's best interest. OptimizePress, you're certainly not on a dead end. It's a great theme, a lot of utility with it. Reason we like Genesis so well is that it's so customizable. You can usually, well, you can use the Genesis framework, especially if you use dynamic as the child theme that we use a lot. It'll pretty much let you build any website and let it do whatever you want it to do. So it's kind of like once you learn Genesis and dynamic, you don't really ever have to learn another theme. Now that doesn't mean it's always the easiest or quickest way to get it set up and going. Optimize Press does some things that it takes a long time to do with Genesis. And for the most part, almost all my sites are set up with Genesis and dynamic. Some other child themes that I do use within Genesis, but I got Optimize Press. You know, I have it on a handful of sites that are set up that it really works well for. Super clean. So like I said, don't throw it out, but when and if you do go looking for other options, seriously consider Genesis. It's a great framework to work off of, and it really does. Once you get it nailed, you can do anything with it. So, you know, Clinton and Mike are OMGers that have a whole course. It's called Website Supremacy. I actually did a kind of a thank you for them, a video that you might have seen, that is pretty much exclusively built around Genesis and the dynamic child theme for that, which gives you even more functionality and stuff. So that's what I would say about Genesis and Optimize Press. I've got probably, I'm trying to think, maybe six different themes that I use on WordPress. I've got a lot more than that, but those are the only ones I use. So yeah, there's some templates and things I know that the Wild Country theme and stuff like that work on Genesis on that framework. So yeah, if you want to take advantage of those, I would yeah, start learning. There's so much to learn too, guys, and that's the thing that I totally understand, because I've been in a situation where it's like I have to learn how to, you know, I didn't know pages and posts and anything about WordPress really. I had a lot of learning curve to try to wrap my head around when I got in. And the one thing I will suggest, especially for folks who are kind of new to this, or new to the client consulting aspects of it. I know a lot of people are kind of just online marketers that work with info products and things like that, but haven't really taken on the consulting side of it yet. Really be clear about what you're creating and the value you add. And you know, we've all been in situations probably where you've got to say yes to a project that really isn't right, but you just kind of have to make it work. I did that a couple times, and a couple times I've lucked out and got the project the right way. More often than not, it winds up just being a bad situation where it takes so much extra time and effort for me to operate differently than I really want to, or that I'm trained to, that it's not really worth it. So, you know, pick some ways that you're going to monetize and learn those. Everything that we've got, that we talk about, that we train, works. Whether that's affiliate or launch jacking or local client consulting or rank and rent or Amazon or pay-per-lead, whatever it might be, those all work. But it doesn't always mean that's the best situation for you or even really what you want to do. So get in, get cash flow positive, and then figure out the life you want, figure out the business you want, and start developing the resources that will make that happen. That's what I'd suggest. So. Should have checked my email a couple more times just to make sure that we didn't have anybody. Oh no, we're good. All right. All right. On kind of a, well, it's a related note. My office hours moving forward, I have not announced yet. So if you guys, if anybody here has any information on their schedule that, you know, one way or another would be more convenient, just put that in the chat box or whatever. Doesn't mean I'll be able to accommodate it, but we do like to make sure that we, move our office hours around enough where we are available to folks, regardless of whether they're in the U.S. and they have a day job or they live abroad, whatever it might be. So I tend to be the most flexible of the kind of office hours / coaches. So let me know, and I'll see if I can make something work for you guys. It's pretty convenient. Okay. Oh, Rob Mullins. Mike Long just promoted the Inbox Blueprint training course. How do you approach email list building? Is it really that important? Can't I just do day job killer of SEO and not have to worry about list building? Absolutely, Rob. Since you're just getting in and learning this, I actually would recommend that you focus on SEO day job killer. Okay? Put that email list building in the back of your head. It's going to become something that you want to use on your path, but you need to know SEO to get the traffic that you'll be able to use to build your list. I have not, up till the last month or two, really done anything at all with list building. I do very well financially. I've got my SEO handled, got my business model all lined out, and now it's appropriate for me to start looking at list building. This has nothing to do with the course. I'm sure it's quite valuable, and if you're in the right place, really, that's what we also kind of really talk about, the whole shiny object thing, and not that you're getting distracted with things that you don't need, but it's a natural tendency. It's one of those things as a marketer, you start to just really see how the entire industry almost is built off of making you feel like you're missing out on something if you aren't doing it, and it kind of needs to be that way in certain instances, but you've really got to be able to take a step back and think about things. With email marketing, once you have a list, you really control your financial destiny. You can do a lot with it. Something I suggest doing, but I would definitely pay attention to and get really good at not only the ability to do SEO, but the actual business of doing SEO, whether that's with affiliate or what you talked about, local client consulting. Get that nailed. The list building is something I'm not only kind of doing for myself right now, but I'm probably going to be able to offer it to my SEO clients as a service I provide. So a lot of these local businesses, we've actually been able to work with them and get them new customers. They're doing better now. They actually, we smoothed out the bumps in their lead generation, all that kind of thing. It's all great, and they're looking for ways to further their business value and be able to work with their customers that much better. And email marketing is a great way, building that list. That list is a customer. It's a business resource. It's something that makes your business worth more. So I would look at that. Cliff says these times work well. Awesome to hear, Cliff. Thank you. David Duncan, that's a great question. Rob, I just started with OMG2 and I've had to turn off looking at potential shiny objects. Yep, not that I'm saying the product's bad. Mike's promoting it. He found it to be good. Absolutely, David. I think you're definitely thinking along the right lines. And this is just, for what it means. When I got into OMG, not only was I strapped for cash, I couldn't have bought anything, but once we did get some cash available, I got OMG. I paid for my hosting, needed my hosting. I bought expired domains, needed expired domains for my PBN or for my money sites, competitive niches. I got Moz, Open Site Explorer. I'm sure I got a couple other things, but I really didn't buy any of the products. It was 9 months probably until I went to OMG Live, which again, it's OMG stuff. It was all well and good. At that point, I actually got introduced to some of the folks at Network Empire, and I paid attention to a lot of their things. They work kind of hand in hand with us. Aside from that, though, I really haven't bought anything. you can make as much money as you want if you stay focused with it. You know, people who do video marketing, right? Videos that you can make, you know, likely you could probably make 7 figures a year if that's all you're focused on. So, yeah, just find, you know, look within OMG to find that place that's like, yeah, this is it, and then just go with it. Just focus on that and make it work. Keep your eyes open, ask questions, but you know, the easiest way to build roots is to dig a nice deep foundation and have something to work with after that. You know, it's hard to get good enough to make good money if you're hopping around to a bunch of different things. All right. All right, Cliff, immersed myself in a program but not even close to having it covered. How or what do you do with client consulting? I actually, you know, I talk about this, especially in the Facebook group a little bit. When I every once in a while, I'll make a really big post in there, kind of just about what I do and what I think, and some stuff like that. This is more mindset things and approach stuff. When I got into OMG, I was kind of, well, I was desperate for money. I had to find a way to make more money. Quickly got to a place, I say quickly, it was 60 days, you know, it was a couple months, to a place where we could pay the bills and keep our head above water, where it's not like, oh crap, what are we going to do for, you know, gas or water bill next month? Got past that, you know, by 150%, give or take. And then I kind of really just worked on my business, worked on getting my processes lined out. And, you know, I was to a place where we were very comfortable financially. We were, you know, I had a lot of debt that I was clearing out. And I really wanted to make sure that I had my sales system down, that I understood how I related to my customers really well, and I had my fulfillment down. Because, you know, I've been in situations in previous businesses where one of those elements is kind of out of whack, whether your marketing's out of whack and you don't get enough new customers coming in, or you get a ton of new customers coming in, you sell them all, and then you can't fulfill for them. And so it's like, one of those situations, it's just hard to sleep at night. You know, for me, that wasn't what this was all about. So I set for myself some financial goals that I knew were attainable, but not like crazy aggressive. I didn't want to go out and make $2 million in the first year or anything. But what that let me do was to have a very, very comfortable business. And when I say comfortable, I don't mean like a slack off. It just means that I know where all the moving pieces are. So I know what my marketing is. I know that, hey, you know, I knew what kind of my prime indicators of my business are. I look at my numbers, and if we're not hitting certain things, I know what to do. I know what to, you know, put some more effort into on the marketing side to make sure that, you know, 60 days from now, we've got more revenue coming in, or whatever it might be. So that also, because I have those systems dialed, it's now time to scale that. You know, you can get in and make it just a ton of money selling this, and, you know, potentially would run into a situation where you can't keep track of all your customers or even all your properties. You know, it's horribly embarrassing to say. There's times when I realized I had 3 or 4 expired domains that were just sitting, waiting for me to claim, and, you know, whatever registrar I won an auction with. But what that does is it's like, oh, I really need to make sure my process for keeping track of this stuff is in place. So, you know, make reasonable goals with your, number 1, learning material, and number 2, just implementing it and getting money out of it, you know, monetizing it. And then just take a look around and see kind of where you want to go. So for me, I knew that was really, I love teaching. I love coaching. For me, what I did when I got involved, I started making, you know, really good money with pay-per-lead and local client consulting, and then put my, you know, task at hand to becoming somebody who could help other people through the experience that I'd gone through. And so that's kind of what I was able to do with this. So, Other people go in and they say, I want 1,000 PBN sites and 200 money sites, and I want to be making $250,000 a month. You're going to design a different business than I did. So it really is just what you want to do. But what I would suggest, learn as much as you need to implement it, knowing what you're going to use to monetize that. And then, just make your money and, keep active in the group. I'm always active in there. Greg's really active, and opportunities come up. I've got a few things that are supporting OMG at the moment that are in development, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, and then for me, what do I do exactly with local client consulting? I make it very hard to work with me. I don't, like I said, I don't spend time on sales. I spend time on marketing and creating value for my customers. And then actually, you've got to apply kind of to get a consultation with me. And the consultation isn't really to see if this is going to work. It's just to make sure that you don't have any more questions and we can move forward from there. So I'll probably share some of those strategies over the next month or two. Once I get this paper lead module rolled out, it'll create more questions for some folks just because, it's a different way of doing things. But it works really well for me. And with the whole concept of being a one-man gang and really not wanting to manage 40 clients at a time, I figured it was easier for me to not waste time on sales, get to provide more value, keep more of my money, keep more of my sanity and time, and just make it more of an exclusive process to work with me. It's one of the reasons I didn't go after ranking, well, not aggressively. I didn't aggressively go after ranking my city SEO, because I actually had a bunch of subcontractors that worked for me that were, I had 10 clients in the first 3.5 months of doing work. So at that point, I was kind of like, I need to make sure the business is sound. Yeah. Okay, Steve C, any preference on GSA versus Magic Submitter? I've used Magic for a number of months, but it's not user-friendly. GSA, easier to set up and run. Steve, I think it is. What you're describing as far as Magic Submitter was pretty much exactly what I felt about it. I used it for most of last year when I got involved with OMG right at the beginning. We actually could use Magic Submitter and run directly to our money sites. Right? That's totally changed now. And so that was one of the tools I learned kind of early to build links. I never liked it. And I didn't. Not that I didn't like the results, but for me, it wasn't intuitive. It was hard to really wrap my brain around what exactly was happening with the different email account setups and all that kind of thing. For me, GSA is much more intuitive. I won't say it's easy. You still have to put some time in. I learned from a couple people, Jimmy Kelly being one of them, how to set it up and run it properly, safely, and how to use it, what to target, and really conceptually what it's for. So on that note, I would lean toward GSA. Magic Submitter, very effective still if used properly, just like GSA. They also both can be totally ineffectual or actually both detrimental if used improperly. If you've got the wrong kind of stuff going for the footprint you're creating, what your links are coming from, you got your wrong anchor text set up. If you've got a low level of uniqueness on the articles you're posting, those are all things that don't work very well. So you can use both. I prefer GSA. GSA is a cost. Well, it costs more to run. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think. I think my monthly budget for Magic Submitter was somewhere around $175 a month with virtual private server, and then the actual monthly payment for Magic Submitter, and then my proxies and emails. GSA I actually have set up on a dedicated server, so it runs a bit faster. don't have a monthly cost, but I think I probably still spend, you know, $400 on it, give or take, with the number of IP addresses I have for the proxies and emails. What else? You've got to have some content that you stick in there. I've got content machine that I use for that. So, um, yeah, there's a few moving pieces with GSA, but I like it still, and it's what I use. All right, David Duncan, learning how to even make decent videos is something that's on my list to learn how to do too. Oh, cool, David. Yeah, along with the training on Paperly, I've got some specific elements on conversion that really follow, and I've honed from a lot of stuff that David's talked about, but also just stuff that I know, that I see, that I have experienced in my life, that I used in my business that was very successful. And a lot, I love video. It's one of those things that I like making, I like thinking about, and some of the conversion elements especially talk about some types of videos that work really, really well for generating leads or being able to lure in the right kind of customers. And I'm going to talk about those. Those will be part of this pay per lead module. That should be. I was hoping to get them all done today, but my voice is kind of starting to go. I've been talking since about 6 o'clock this morning, and yeah, there's only so much the voice will hold up to. But they should still be out by the end of the week, and we'll give you some ideas not only about the types of videos to do, but I maybe actually will throw in some of the actual technical how-to with some of the software I use, and you know, if you're going to put yourself out there, some of the lighting and mics and things that I use for my videos, and how I edit them, how I script them, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're a big fan of videos. It's one of the highest value pieces of content that you can put on the internet. Very engaging. Google loves it because it's just the barrier to entry with video is higher than other things. It's harder to make a video. Even stupid little, you know, doodle videos. It's harder to do that than it is to jump on there and write a paragraph on the internet. So Google looks at that and says, "Yay, we like videos." So if you make the right kind of videos, you can make a lot of money and really help a lot of people. That's kind of what it comes down to. I'm not saying you can't do one without the other, but it's nice to do both at the same time. Okay, click around here to my various pieces of oh, from David, yeah, I have Camtasia Studio already, but haven't learned how to use it. Yeah, Camtasia is good. It does pretty much everything you need in some, you know, just simplified edits and things like that. ScreenFlow is almost identical. Certain ways it's a little easier to use. I haven't crashed ScreenFlow yet, which is kind of a benefit to me. But the cool thing with Camtasia, the way it's set up, even when you're recording a big video, if you do ever get it to hang or crash, on a Mac at least, I work on Macintosh, Apple computers, the temporary recordings are going to get saved regardless. So nothing else, you can pull those back up and we do your project from there. So I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, I use Camtasia, I use ScreenFlow, I use Video Scribe for my doodle videos. I use Video Effects, which is kind of just a lightweight video creation software. That pretty much is all I use for my video stuff. All pretty cheap. The most expensive is Camtasia. On Mac, it's $100. ScreenFlow is $100 as well. It doesn't cost a lot to get into that stuff. Which is kind of cool. Okay. Yeah, on that note, David, I think actually Mike may have a couple of kind of like over-the-shoulder videos on using Camtasia. It's what I use on a lot of mine for backup recording. I actually found out that, well, with these Hangouts especially, it's nice because they record anyway. So even if you have a glitch locally, they'll record to the cloud, which is kind of cool. And Brian says, I don't use iMovie. No, I don't, Brian. You know, I could. I have used it in the past. Before I got into online marketing, I actually just used to make like home movies and stuff, and that was what I used. But for kind of the instructional style videos I do now, trying to think. You know, really, the only, well, that's not even true. Yeah, ScreenFlow is what I edit in a lot, and almost everything I need to do, I do there. Whether it's transitions or, you know, I turn most everything into MOV files or MP4s and edit that way. So yeah, you can stitch together a whole bunch of different things and just make it with Camtasia or with ScreenFlow. Maybe the reason that I like those better than iMovie is a lot of the videos I do screen recording, whether it's like how-to videos or I use just my voiceover, a presentation, and so because those formats are recorded inherently within ScreenFlow or Camtasia, you don't have to import, you don't have to sync sound, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So I kind of like that type of thing. All right, Cliff, haven't come across it yet, but we're in the program that's training about keyword research. I have a feeling it's in the sink or swim stuff, Cliff. Let me see if I can find it real quick. SEO, HTML. Keyword and silo structure. It's probably going to talk about keyword understanding right there. So it's Mike and Greg. Looks like they've got, yeah. This will be where you want to go. I talk about a few of these myself, but this will be a great place to go for some intro understanding of that. So just to recap, Cliff, that was in this lesson month 1, on-site structure, keywords, and silo structure. And then this very first option here on the right is keyword understanding. It should get you some good background, kind of foundational understanding of what's going on. All right, Rob Mullins, I own Camtasia also, but I'm not really learning how to use it. A few videos on how to use the basics of Camtasia would be nice, maybe. Yeah, I'll let me throw that in the notes here. I got my wish list of all the things I want to get out. Camtasia / video. That's it. Yeah, I'll see if I can put something like that together for you, Rob. All right, David Duncan. All right, did I hear you mention a little while ago that your PBN sites should all be on different IP addresses, not necessarily on different hosts? Yes, that's correct, David. Each site is on a different IP address at the C level, which is the third grouping of digits. Don't necessarily need to be on different hosts. Usually, when you buy SEO hosting, you buy a certain number of IPs. You know, with SEO hosting or Skynet or whatever, or BizBuilder hosting, you'll get access to 10 or 15 or 20 IPs at a time. I usually use those IPs in a block, and then for the next block of expired domains or hosting that I'm rolling out, I'll switch it up and just kind of rotate through. I've got hosting with 5 different companies at the moment. They are Skynet hosting, SEO hosting, BizBuilder hosting, Host9, and then I've got a couple single sites set up on HostGator, regular HostGator, and also on Bluehost. Those HostGator and Bluehost do not offer SEO hosting under that brand. HostGator actually owns SEO hosting, I think. But on the HostGator and Bluehost hosting accounts, I only have a single site on each of those that are hosting. So that's how I have it set up. Brian says, yeah, it makes sense. I'll stick to Camtasia. Thanks. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, iMovie's great. I mean, it comes free on a Mac, and I just haven't spent enough time in there to know what it does over and above what I need it to do for, or what I need Camtasia or ScreenFlow. Thank you, sir. That was actually the videos for tomorrow. Oh, cool, Cliff. You're on the right track, man. All right, David Duncan, the 13th August Acceleration Levy replay has a great section on keyword research with Alex Gould. Ooh, yeah, you know what? I was on the first part of that, and I had to actually had to click out before Alex came on. That's a great ad there, David. Thank you. I actually want to go check that out. I may see if I can stay up late tonight and catch some of that. It's that 13th of August. Cool, man. All right, so we're running up on about an hour 15 in on when we actually figured out the volume situation, the audio. So, you know, I don't tend to rush through these. I want to stay and make sure all the questions are answered. And, you know, if you guys are on and you've got questions, I'm more than happy to kind of stay within reasonable limits. But when we do get to this kind of point of the session, if you've got any questions, please try to get those in the chat box now so that I can kind of see what we're working with and we can work through those. Otherwise, it kind of, you know, I know sometimes, you know, a question somebody asks will like trigger something for you. So, you know, if it doesn't get triggered for a little bit, no big deal. But if you've got some questions you've been just kind of holding on to and seeing how things shape out here, try to get those in that chat box for me, and I'll get to answering those real quick. Stand up, stretch my legs a little bit here. All right, David Duncan, could you type in the hosts you mentioned? I was typing. Oh, yeah, absolutely, David. So I've got SEO hosting. Oops. If I could type it would be helpful. I'm just going to put each of these in their own chat here. Pretty sure it's .com. Yeah, that's it. Skynet hosting. Host9. Actually, I think it's like that. Bluehost. Website. And host. All right, so those were those. I guess another question pop in here real quick. Yeah, that's for David. So, Paula, thank you. Absolutely, my friend. That's all I have. Oh, you know what? I don't even know. Yeah, I've got one other hosting account that has a few sites on it that I am not going to even mention because I don't know what services they offer. It's a long story, but those are the ones I use. And Host9 is not 100% set up to be a SEO hosting account. There are some issues with the name servers and not being able to change those and customize them, which will potentially show up as a footprint for the sites hosted there. So unless you're a little more advanced, I would probably go a different direction from there. It's going to require that you do a lot more tracking and paying attention to where your links are coming from and going to. It's pretty cheap. That's why I got it set up. I've got, I don't know, 24 sites on there. It's probably about all I will use it for, and will probably not grow through Host9 anymore. All right, let's put stuff on here. Something. All right, Brian, Rock and Roll Flex, thanks a lot. Take it easy. Absolutely. Glad you were on. Also, yeah, I think, well, I'll post it in the group when we get our next group of, or bunch of office hours scheduled. So you guys are all aware of that. All right, Ken, just finished my main website over the weekend, going to start my first lead gen site now. I really prefer to do a rank and rent structure and then move on to the next site. Absolutely. How do you recommend I get the first client once the site ranks? Two options, two things I would do, Ken. I would put a big header across the top that says this site for rent, contact me. And then I would also potentially put a phone number that is a call forwarding phone number and send it to somebody that you've prospected and that you would like to become the customer for that website. Send them some free leads. That'll give them an idea that that site is generating not only traffic but some potential customers. Gives you an excuse to reach out and talk to them. Those two things I would definitely look at for drumming up a customer for those sites. Should kind of get you there. I can't tell you that one of the most profitable things that I do currently. Some guy just found my site ranking. Kind of like Greg's situation. You know, you can rank a bunch of sites. You know, people track you down and find you, and they want you to work for them. So, yeah, get those sites ranked. Get your, you know, let people have the ability to contact you about them, and it happens. It's kind of a passive strategy, but it works. All right, David Duncan, thank you so much, Fletch, for all of this. You rock, man. Thank you so much for being on and saying that. Really appreciate it, David. Kurt, Greg talks about a SEO hosting. So is that different from SEO hosting? Yes, it is, Kurt. I do not or have not currently used a SEO hosting. The SEO hosting I'm talking about, let me just pull it up here just to make sure that I am remembering exactly what we've got here. Ooh. We're going to change their look. Yeah, this is them. Yeah, they just changed the look and feel of their site. Yep, this is them. So SEOhosting.com. What you'd want to get is a shared hosting. You see here the cost per IP. That's what you're going to look at. So 25 IPs, $6 per. It's going to cost you $150 per month. So when you set it up, you can get billed quarterly, annually. Probably save a little money. 25 IPs here is going to cost you, $1,800 a year. Yeah, so the cost per IP, depending on how much you're paying, is going to change. All right. Rob, this has been a very helpful session. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, absolutely. And as I mentioned here, if you guys stay on until the end, you'll hear this almost every coaching session. I do not really advertise it that much, but I do know sometimes that folks have questions that are more private in nature, especially regarding sites that you're working on or niches and things that you want to get into. Those questions just might not be super appropriate to share with it's not really the public, but with a bunch of other people. I tend to actually recommend that you don't. It's easier to play your cards close to the vest and keep some of that stuff private. So if you do have questions that are like that, feel free to reach out to me on email. I don't have a lot of time or flexibility for stuff like that, but I do try to make myself available for things like that. And I am kind of the point guy for handling any email requests and questions. So if you've got something, a site that you just can't figure out a good silo structure for, or if you've got something set up and you can't figure out what's going on with it, it's a money site or a PBN site, you can let me know on email, and I can try to take a look at that kind of stuff for you guys. So, all right, Fl1Tch, thanks for the time. The Healthy Insights Colleen, my wife and partner, is in this with me and likes your presentation style. That's good to know, Cliff. Thank you. Welcome to both of you guys. It's a pretty cool ride, so it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. I hope that comes through. My enthusiasm and the energy and attention I put toward this type of thing. So, Cliff, possible option for rank and rent some leads to for 2 days to a potential client, and contact them and ask them if they'd like to continue receiving them. Absolutely, Cliff. Great strategy. One I use a lot for my pay-per-lead. One of the videos I shot this morning was about that strategy. So it works. It's something I currently use. And yeah, it's a great kind of icebreaker. You're already sending them value. It really breaks down a couple barriers. So it's a great strategy. Yeah. All right, Kent, thanks. These are extremely helpful. Yeah, guys, I really hope that you can make as many of these coaching sessions as possible. It tends to really accelerate what you've got going on. I know Cotton's been, very vocal about the fact that even when he was not on these coaching sessions live, he downloaded and listened to them to get kind of a broader understanding of how a lot of this worked and a lot of the different ways to make money. And, really things that were best practices or whatnot. So, put the time in the actual static training videos. That's where you're going to learn how to do a lot of stuff. I really try, and I know Mike does too, on our coaching sessions to spin ideas and to give kind of that cohesive nature to the different training elements to hopefully paint a more clear picture for everybody. And kind of start to put those pieces together, let people shape what they want to do with the SEO skill, how to make money with it, how to provide value with it. So that's really what I strive to do on this, on my sessions, and a lot of Mike's are kind of set up that way too. He also has a lot cooler special guests than I do. From time to time, my dogs will burst in. You might hear them in the background, and of course, they've got some kids. Another one on the way in December. So. Beyond that, we're kind of at the hour and a half mark, give or take. Looks like most of the questions have kind of slowed down. Super big thank you to all of those who were on today. Really appreciate the questions and also helping one another out. It actually helps me understand what kind of people are going through and current things that I can do to help speed up the process or smooth it out. When you guys are really active in the group, not only in Facebook but on these sessions. So beyond that, I really hope everybody has a great week. I will be active in the Facebook group through the rest of the week. In addition to wrapping up these videos, I'll get them to David, and David will make the announcement. But when they are live, I will probably kind of poke the Facebook group to let people know that there's some new content there. So beyond that, I'll probably look at doing some stuff with video training in the future, and then I do have a video that I need to get recorded on really, kind of my process development. Once I learn this material, what to do to make it part of my business processes, so that it's smoother and easier to do it each and every time. I talked about that in the group a little bit, but that video is not yet done. I should be able to get that done this week as well. So, all righty, David. Kids and dogs, yeah. Kids and dogs and a pregnant wife. Pretty awesome life I've got. So, all right, guys. On that note, I'll wrap up for the day. Enjoy the rest of your week and evening. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you all. Otherwise, I will catch you real soon. Thanks again. Take care.